Ladies and gentlemen, listen carefully, fall 7 times, stand up 8. This old Japanese proverb captures the essence of a quality that separates those who only dream of success from those who actually achieve it: persistence. In a world obsessed with talent, luck, and instant results, we often overlook the quiet force that turns ordinary people into extraordinary achievers. While intelligence, skill, and opportunity all play roles in success, they often fall short without the engine of persistence driving them forward. Think about the people we celebrate today: innovators, artists, athletes, entrepreneurs. What do they all have in common? Not flawless paths or effortless wins, but rather stories of rejection, failure, and disappointment. What makes their stories inspiring isn't just that they succeeded, but that they kept going when success seemed impossible. J.K. Rowling faced multiple rejections before Harry Potter became a global phenomenon. Thomas Edison failed thousands of times before inventing the light bulb. These are not just stories of talent, they are stories of relentless effort, resilience, and most of all, persistence. But what exactly is persistence? It's more than just trying hard. Persistence is the continued effort to do or achieve something despite difficulties, failure, or opposition. It is the refusal to quit when things get hard. It is waking up every day and showing up for your goals even when you're discouraged, tired, or afraid. Persistence means understanding that failure is not the opposite of success, it is a necessary part of it. Why is persistence so powerful in the journey to success? Because success rarely happens overnight. It takes time to build skills, overcome obstacles, and find the right path. Along that road, challenges are inevitable: rejection, self-doubt, criticism, or even failure. Without persistence, these moments become the end of the story. With persistence, they become stepping stones. Persistence is also something that can be developed. Unlike talent, which can seem out of reach for some, persistence is a choice, one you make again and again. Every time you choose to keep going, even when progress feels slow or setbacks happen, you build mental toughness and inch closer to your goals. In today's fast-paced world where people often expect quick results and instant gratification, learning the value of persistence is more important than ever. The truth is, shortcuts to success are rare. For most people, it's the slow, steady grind that brings real, lasting achievement. This essay will explore 4 key aspects of persistence: what it truly means, the psychology behind it, real-life examples of its power, and practical ways to build it in your own life. By the end, you'll see why persistence isn't just a helpful trait, it's often the difference between giving up and reaching your greatest potential. Now that we've seen how persistence shapes success through history and real-life examples, it's time to take a closer look at what persistence actually is. Because before we can practice it, we have to truly understand it. So what is persistence really? Persistence is the act of continuing to pursue a goal or task despite obstacles, failures, or slow progress. It's not just working hard once or twice, it's showing up again and again even when things get tough. It's the ability to keep moving forward when everything inside you is screaming to give up. It's the quiet daily decision to keep trying. It's easy to confuse persistence with motivation or even talent. But here's the key difference. Motivation is a feeling, persistence is a habit. Motivation comes and goes. You can feel fired up one day and completely discouraged the next. But persistence is what makes you get out of bed and work toward your goal on both days, when you feel like it and when you don't. Let's clear up a few common myths. Some people think persistence means stubbornness or refusing to change your mind, but that's not true. Persistence isn't about refusing to change direction, it's about refusing to quit. It means adapting when necessary, learning from failures, and keeping your eyes on the bigger picture. It's flexible, but focused. Another common misconception is that persistence is only needed when you're struggling. In reality, persistence is necessary even during the smooth phases. When you're working towards something big like learning a new skill, building a business, or reaching a fitness goal, progress can be painfully slow. Sometimes the hardest part isn't failure, it's boredom, fatigue, or the feeling that you're not moving at all. Persistence is what carries you through the slow seasons. Persistence shows up in many forms and it looks different for everyone. For a student, it might be rewriting an essay 5 times until it's right. For an athlete, it could mean practicing the same move hundreds of times to get it perfect. For a single parent, persistence might mean working multiple jobs and still finding the energy to support their child's dreams. It's not about grand gestures, it's about consistency. It's about choosing your goal over your excuses, one decision at a time. Persistence also isn't limited to one area of life. Whether it's personal growth, academics, careers, relationships, or health, persistence is the bridge between where you are and where you want to be. Think about a marathon runner. The most difficult part isn't always the beginning or the end, it's the long middle stretch, where you're far from the starting line but still can't see the finish. That's where most people are tempted to quit. That's when the voice in your head whispers, "You've done enough, just stop." And that's when persistence answers back, "Keep going. You've come too far to turn around." So why does persistence matter so much in achieving success? Because most valuable things in life take time. The world doesn't hand out rewards for quick starts. It rewards those who finish the race. Persistence keeps you in the game long enough to improve, learn, and eventually win. Talent can open the door, but persistence is what walks you through it. Here's another truth. Every failure you survive builds your persistence muscles. Every time you keep going after a setback, you become more prepared for the next challenge. You don't just grow in skill, you grow in character. And let's not forget, persistence often inspires others too. When people see you striving through difficulty, they're reminded that it's possible. Your persistence can be the spark that lights someone else's fire. So let me leave you with this thought. Persistence is not just something you're born with or without. It's a mindset, it's a choice, and like a muscle, the more you train it, the stronger it gets. Whether you're trying to build a dream, recover from failure, or just keep moving forward through everyday struggles, remember that every step counts, no matter how small. Every time you choose not to quit, you're one step closer to the life you want. In the next part of this speech, we'll explore why some people seem naturally persistent, what's going on in their minds, and how you can develop the same mindset. But for now, just remember this. You don't have to be the fastest or the smartest to succeed. You just have to be the one who refuses to give up. We explored what persistence is and why it plays such a critical role in achieving success. Now let's go one level deeper. Let's ask the question, what makes some people persist when others give up? What's going on inside their minds? To understand that, we need to explore the psychology behind persistence, what fuels it, what threatens it, and how we can strengthen it over time. Let's begin with something called the growth mindset, a term popularized by psychologist Dr. Carol Dweck. People with a growth mindset believe that abilities and intelligence can be developed through effort and learning. In contrast, people with a fixed mindset believe their talents and abilities are unchangeable. Now think about it. If you believe that your abilities can grow, then failure isn't a dead end, it's a detour. It's feedback. It's an opportunity to improve. And when you view setbacks this way, you're more likely to keep going. That's persistence in action. In contrast, if you think success is only for those who are naturally gifted, failure feels fine. You hit a wall and assume you're just not good enough, so you stop trying. That's where persistence breaks down. So how do we develop a growth mindset? It starts by reframing failure not as something to fear or avoid, but as something to learn from. Every mistake contains the most persistent people are also the best learners because they ask, "What can I do better next time?" Instead of saying, "I guess I'm not cut out for this." Another major factor in persistence is something called grit. Psychologist Angela Duckworth defines grit as passion and sustained effort over long periods of time. Her research shows that grit is often a better predictor of success than talent or intelligence. That's right, even more than IQ. Grit determines who makes it through the tough stuff. Gritty individuals are not just hardworking, they're consistent. They stick with their goals for years. They don't bounce around looking for the next easy win. And here's the important part. Grit is not something you either have or don't have. It can be cultivated. So how do you build grit? Through practice, through discipline, and most importantly, through having a clear sense of purpose. When people have a deep reason for what they're doing, something that matters to them personally, they're far more likely to push through the hard times. That's why persistence isn't just mental, it's emotional. It's powered by meaning. Another psychological driver of persistence is self-discipline, the ability to control impulses, delay gratification, and stick to long-term goals. One famous study that highlights this is the marshmallow test, where young children were given a choice: eat one marshmallow now or wait and get two later. The children who waited ended up performing better academically and professionally years down the line. Why? Because they had developed the psychological tools for self-control, the foundation of persistence. Persistence also requires managing a tricky emotion we all know too well: self-doubt. When we face challenges, the little voice in our heads often starts whispering, "What if I fail?" or "What if I'm not good enough?" Persistent people don't silence that voice. They learn to talk back to it. They counter doubt with facts. "I've made progress before. I've learned from failure. I've overcome worse." This is where propagacy of self-talk and visualization can play a powerful role. Athletes, performers, and successful professionals often visualize success and speak encouragingly to themselves during tough moments. It's not just motivational fluff, it's psychology. The brain responds to what you feed it. Now let's be honest. Persistence is hard. It requires mental toughness, what some psychologists call psychological resilience. This is the ability to bounce back after setbacks. One way to build resilience is through small challenges. Every time you face something uncomfortable and push through, you're training your mind to handle bigger obstacles. Think of it like going to the gym. The more you work your muscles, the stronger they get. The more you practice persistence, the stronger your willpower becomes. Before I close this section, let me offer one more insight. Persistence doesn't mean never resting, never taking a break, or grinding yourself into exhaustion. In fact, self-care is essential to long-term persistence. You need to recharge, you need support, you need to step back sometimes to step forward with more strength. So to sum it up, a growth mindset tells you that failure is a teacher, not a stop sign. Growth keeps you focused and consistent over time. Self-discipline helps you delay rewards and stay on track. Mental resilience moves back from setbacks, and emotional purpose gives you the why that makes it all worthwhile. Persistence is not magic, it's not luck, it's the result of a strong mind, a clear purpose, and the daily decision to keep going, even when the going gets tough. In the next part of this speech, we'll look at some real life stories that prove just how powerful persistence can be, because when you see it in action, you realize it's not just theory, it's truth. Thank you. Good morning slash afternoon slash evening once again. So far, we've talked about what persistence is and how it works in the mind. But sometimes the most powerful way to understand a concept is through real life stories. Stories of people who refuse to give up, even when success seemed out of reach. Today, I want to take you on a journey through the lives of a few individuals who show us what persistence really looks like when it's tested in the real world. Let's start with one of the most iconic examples, Thomas Edison. Edison is widely known as the inventor of the electric light bulb, but what many people don't know is that he failed over 1,000 times before he finally succeeded. When asked how he felt about all those failures, he didn't call them mistakes. He famously said, "I have not failed. I've just found 10,000 ways that won't work." That mindset is persistence in its purest form, seeing every failure as one step closer to success, not a reason to stop. Now let's turn to a more recent story, J.K. Rowling, the author of the Harry Potter series. Before she became a billionaire and household name, Rowling was a struggling single mother living on welfare. She wrote her first Harry Potter book in cafes, often while her baby daughter slept beside her. When she submitted the manuscript to publishers, 12 of them rejected it. They said it was too long, or that fancy books wouldn't sell. But she didn't give up. She kept trying, kept believing in her story. Eventually, one small publishing house gave her a chance. The result? One of the most successful book series of all time, inspiring millions around the world. Persistence turned her pain into power. Now consider Colonel Harlan Sanders, the founder of KFC. He was over 60 years old when he first started pitching his fried chicken recipe to restaurants. You might think age would slow him down, but not Colonel Sanders. He was rejected over 1,000 times before someone finally said yes. Imagine that, 1,000 rejections in your senior years. Most people would have given up after a dozen, but Sanders kept going, and eventually, KFC became a global brand. These stories are inspiring, but they're not limited to famous people. Persistence is everywhere, in everyday people like you and me. Think of the single parent who works 2 jobs but still finds time to go back to school. Think of the small business owner who keeps rebuilding after every financial setback. Think of the student who fails an important test but studies harder and comes back stronger. These people may never make the headlines, but their persistence is just as powerful, just as heroic. And here's something even more important to understand. It's not just about the outcome. Success doesn't mean fame or fortune. Sometimes persistence leads to personal victories, things like self-respect, growth, and confidence. Let me share one more story. It's about a man named Terry Fox, a Canadian athlete who lost his leg to cancer. Instead of giving up, he decided to run across Canada to raise money for cancer research. With one leg and a prosthetic, he ran a marathon every single day for over 140 days. His journey ended when cancer returned, but he inspired millions. Today, the Terry Fox run continues worldwide in his name. Terry didn't finish the physical run, but his persistence achieved something far greater: hope, legacy, impact. So what do all these people have in common? They faced rejection. They were told no. They failed. They stumbled. They struggled, but they kept going. They didn't give up when it got hard. And that's what made the difference. Not just their talent, but their relentless pursuit of their goal. And if you take one thing from this part of the speech, let it be this: persistence is the great equalizer. You don't need to be a genius, a millionaire, or a celebrity to be persistent. You just need to keep going when others quit, to believe in something so deeply that you're willing to fight for it, even when it feels like the whole world is against you. You may not have control over the obstacles you face, but you do have control over how you respond to them. And in that response, in that decision to keep going, lies your true power. In the next and final part of this speech, we'll bring it all together and talk about how you can apply persistence to your own life. We'll cover practical steps you can take to build this life-changing habit so that whatever your dream is, you won't just chase it, you'll catch it. We've now reached the final part of this journey, the part where we take everything we've learned about persistence and bring it into our own lives. We've defined persistence. We've looked at the psychology behind it. We've seen how powerful it is through real-world examples. But here's the big question. How do we build persistence in our own lives, especially when things get tough? Let's start with one of the most important foundations: clarity of purpose. You are far more likely to persist when you know exactly why you're doing something. That why becomes your anchor in the storm. When you feel like giving up, your purpose pulls you back in. It reminds you of what's at stake. So take some time to ask yourself, what do I truly want to achieve? Why does it matter to me? What will happen if I give up? When your goals are connected to your values, when they mean something deeply personal, your drive to persist will be much stronger. The second tool for building persistence is setting small, achievable goals. One of the biggest mistakes people make is thinking they need to leap from where they are to their goal in one giant jump. But real progress happens in steps, not leaps. Break your big goals into smaller milestones. Instead of saying, I want to write a book, start with, I'll write 1 page a day. That's manageable, that's measurable, and most importantly, it builds momentum. Small wins lead to big results. Remember, success isn't about doing one thing 1,000 times better. It's about doing one small thing better 1,000 times. The third key is learning to embrace failure, not fear it. We talked earlier about how persistent people see failure as feedback. But here's what you need to remind yourself, especially in moments of disappointment. Failure is not a sign to stop. It's a sign to adjust. Did you miss the mark? Learn why. Did you get rejected? Find out how to improve. Did you feel stuck? Maybe it's time to change your strategy, but not your goal. Every failure contains a lesson, and every lesson makes you stronger. You're not starting from scratch when you try again. You're starting from experience. Now let's talk about discipline and routine. Persistence doesn't rely on feeling motivated every day. Motivation is helpful, but it's not reliable. Some days you'll feel inspired. Other days you'll feel tired, discouraged, or overwhelmed. What carries you through those days is discipline, and discipline is built through routine. Create systems that support your goals. Set time aside each day to work toward them, even if it's just a little. Make it a non-negotiable habit, like brushing your teeth or going to class. When persistence becomes a habit, it no longer feels like a constant battle. It becomes who you are. Another crucial part of persistence is managing your mindset. You need to learn how to talk to yourself, especially when things get tough. Replace negative self-talk with positive reinforcement. Instead of saying, I can't do this, say this is hard, but I can learn. Instead of saying, I failed, say I'm growing. Your inner voice is powerful. Use it wisely. Use it to remind yourself of your strengths, your past progress, and your reasons to keep going. Surrounding yourself with the right people also plays a big role in persistence. Environment matters. If you're constantly around negativity, doubt, or people who don't believe in dreams, it becomes harder to believe in your own. But when you're surrounded by encouragement, inspiration, and like-minded individuals, persistence becomes contagious. Find mentors, join communities, talk to people who have walked the path you're on. Their experiences, advice, and encouragement can be the boost you need when you're tempted to quit. And finally, celebrate progress. We often focus so much on the end goal that we forget to acknowledge how far we've come. Persistence becomes easier when we pause to celebrate the small victories. Finished a chapter, celebrate. Learn from a mistake, celebrate. Stay committed for a week, celebrate. These moments matter. They build confidence, reinforce your habits, and remind you that your efforts are not in vain. So let me leave you with this. Persistence isn't a superpower. It's a skill. It's a mindset. It's a daily decision. It's waking up each morning and saying, I may not be there yet, but I'm closer than I was yesterday, and I'm not giving up. Your journey may be long. It may be messy. It may be filled with challenges. But if you stay consistent, if you keep learning, if you hold tight to your purpose, then one day you'll look back and realize you did it. Not because it was easy, but because you didn't quit. That is the power of persistence. And that power is already inside you. As we come to the end of this journey together, I want to remind you of something simple but powerful. Success isn't reserved for the lucky, the gifted, or the perfect. It belongs to those who refuse to quit. We've explored what persistence really means, not just pushing through,
but growing through. We've uncovered the mindset that fuels it, the science that explains it, and the real life stories that prove its power. And most importantly, we've talked about how you can build persistence into your own life, starting now, starting small, but never stopping. So whatever your dream is, hold on to it. Whatever mountain you're climbing, take one more step. And when the road gets rough, and it will, remember this, you are stronger than the struggle. Every great success story began with someone who could have quit, but didn't. Be that person. Be the one who kept going. Because persistence isn't just the path to success, it is success. Thank you.